mankind must learn to build in accord with nature. Too often, the debate over sustainability is brought down to a level of minutia, or a debate over whether or not climate change is real, or not, rather than understanding the importance of keeping the balance between the natural and man-made environment. David Orr, professor of environmental studies and politics at Oakland College, wrote an article called The Trial. Homo sapiens are put on trial by all other creatures on how they manage and build in a sustainable manner. To say the least, you may well know the outcome of the jury. The thrust of David Orr's work is the importance of ecological literacy and the ability to understand natural systems that make life on Earth possible and understanding the principles of creating sustainable human communities. My contention is that when you understand how our ecosystem functions and how it's impacted by human beings, it provides a foundation for developing a sustainable management plan in the livable communities of the 21st century. Our ecosystem is the most complex design known to man. If we are going to build an agreement with the environment, we must first understand our ecosystem design and how it functions. In her book, Biomimicry, in 1997, Jane Ninas describes how nature serves as a viable model, as a measure, and as a mentor worthy by humans. Nature runs on sunlight. Nature uses only energy it needs. Nature fits form to function. Nature recycles everything. Nature rewards cooperation. Nature banks on diversity. Nature demands local expertise, power limits. The same communication challenges holds true inside agencies. Most agency organizational charts are a set of blocks. Each block reflects a specialty within the organization. The finance employees are in one box, the engineers are in another box. An organizational structure oftentimes limits the integration of ideas and creates what is called group thinking. The goals and objectives of the individual groups become larger than the overall goals of the organization itself. Just think for a moment if the environment worked this way. If sustainability is going to take hold, it is not expected that all employees become generalists, but it will require organizations to create a new circular organizational structure that allows for individuals coming from different disciplines to work together in building sustainable models. When designing sustainable organizations of the futures, managers must be trained in formal management practice and principles. For example, the teaching of Maslow and his theory of human motivation and the hierarchy of human needs. Human beings are looking for esteem and self-actualization. It is imperative that organizations understand these principles and go beyond just setting sustainable goals and objectives. They must create new organizational structures that foster employee esteem and self-actualization in the sustainable decision-making process. Instituting sustainable systems is not easy. We live in a world that is getting more unpredictable every day. Instituting sustainable plans require managers that can see change as opportunity, developing organizations that are highly flexible and highly adaptable to a changing world. Managers must provide leadership, create urgency for change, develop a sustainable management plan, create a new culture within their organization, and build new community partnerships. But what does this all mean, and how do we get started creating this new frontier? Here are my thoughts. Retraining and hiring managers that understand the value and importance of incorporating sustainable principles in their work. Universities around the country are now offering courses in sustainability and majors. In fact, some universities are requiring that before you graduate with an undergraduate degree, you must take a course in sustainability. Reshaping organizations into interdisciplinary systems thinking agencies. This is going to take men with a vision and to have the courage to sustain these changes. Develop sustainable systems within your organization. Creating a lifelong sustainability learning program within the organization on sustainable principles and practices. In today's world, the last item you want to cut from your budget is education and training. Build partnerships with those organizations that are instituting a sustainable culture and systems. Partner with the university or college on sustainable research practices. Build sustainable principles and culture within your organization that can address sustainable issues. Develop sustainable principles, strategic planning exercises that will guide all activities within the organization. Adopt a sustainable matrix that measures output through enhancing economic prosperity, moral life attributes, and a sustainable environment. Create opportunities for the use of renewable energy. Develop a new green marketing campaign. Reshaping employee benefits that enhance a sustainable lifestyle. And fostering local, state, and national legislation that supports sustainable actions. I'm convinced that those organizations that practice the principles outlined above will outpace their rivals. In closing, I highly recommend your investigation into sustainability begins by reading Rachel Carson's book called Silent Spring, written back in the 1960s. It has been called one of the best science books ever written. From my perspective, it is a good management book as well. Her book became the catalyst of the environmental movement and the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency. What I love about the book is that Rachel Carson wrote the book when it wasn't popular to talk about the environment. It was criticized by the chemical companies who were spraying DDT with little concern for the damage being done to the balance of nature. She had integrity and vision, the number 1 and 2 highest attributes we admire most in a leader. One of her most profound statements is that we live in a world of specialists, each of whom sees their own problems and is unaware of the intolerance of the larger frame in which it fits. 45 years later, David Rowe's article called The Trial provides a very similar theme. A challenging future will not be technology or money, but whether or not, as a society, we are able to create principles and culture that respects the importance of finding harmony between the built and the natural environment, and able to create the livable communities of the 21st century. We are running out of time. Thank you.